Merħba, niltaqgħu għal programm ieħor mis-sensiela L-Intrapriża. L-ekonomija diversifikata ta' Malta li tinkludi l-manifattura, servizzi finanzjarji, turiżmu, avjazzjoni, servizzi marittimi, iGaming u ħafna setturi oħrajn, edha aktar ma jgħaddi żmien tinkludi wkoll ekosistema ta' startups li operaw fl-intelligenza artifiċjali jew l-Internet of Things u Big Data. Fi żmien il-COVID ħadet aktar spinta wkoll it-teknoloġija fil-kamp edukattiv. Din l-industrija msejħa EdTech toffri teknoloġija li tikkombina t-teorija edukattiva mal-użu ta' tagħmir u software li jiffaċilitaw it-tagħlim. Illum se nżuru kumpanija stabbilita internazzjonalment li x-xogħol tagħha huwa li tattira lejn Malta u li tiżviluppa ekosistema ta' startups li jispeċjalizzaw fl-EdTech sabiex jirrilokaw f'Malta. Il-kumpanija hija Supercharger Ventures. Nifhmu aħjar kif topera din il-kumpanija u għaliex għażlet lil Malta bħala bażi mingħand id-direttur maniġerjali Patrick Halsen. Hello, Patrick.
Good morning.
Can you give us a bit of a background of where your company comes from?
Yes, so basically here you're at the offices of Supercharger Ventures in Malta, and basically this is a company which is based both in London and Singapore. We are an accelerator specialized in EdTech companies. So basically it originated, or the co-founders started the FinTech accelerator in Hong Kong in 2016-17, and during COVID they were thinking what's the next big thing, and based on all the experience that they had in Hong Kong they thought they would develop a EdTech accelerator. And we've done that in London. We've got more than 85 companies now in the portfolio, and we're just launching here in Malta.
So how did you choose your premises here in Malta?
Oh, that was a really difficult choice because I had to look at a lot of different offices in Valletta and different places. And we are really looking for a space where we could actually expand, you know, because I'm going to explain about the number of companies coming. So we found this place here and just fell in love with it because it's like so iconic for Malta. It's got so much history, represent the industry.
Yeah.
So this is where we're going to have the offices. We have our offices here right now, but we're going to have a whole rooftop here, which I'm going to show you afterwards.
Okay.
And one of the other reasons why we're here is because of this. So we had to find an engine at the size of our ambitions. So this is another reason why we came here.
An iconic reason.
Exactly.
Good. Shall we go and see?
Let's go and see the rest.
You've mentioned the EdTech sector. What's the future of EdTech? Why is it appealing?
Yeah, so EdTech basically, you know, it's a merger of education and technology, and this is really a booming industry. Today we believe that it's worth $250 billion a year. Within 5 to 10 years it's going to be worth over $1 trillion. And this is driven by three factors, or three things that made it possible. The first one was 20 years ago when we invented the internet. The second thing was COVID, which was a catalyst to make everything digital. And the first one is innovation. So the speed at which innovation is just forcing the retraining of everything, every industry, and so and so. And for us, basically, specializing in EdTech was a way of being leaders in this kind of industry. So today we're actually the #1 accelerator in the world in terms of number of companies who are purely EdTech companies. And if we look at how the world is changing, you've seen, you know, after COVID, a complete shift in education. So if you look at primary, secondary schools, it used to be like a standardized textbook program, and then you see that it's much more interactive, it's becoming digital, it's becoming personalized. If you look at universities, just look, you know, at Harvard, MIT, INSEAD, all the big ones, they are all moving online, right? So accessing a whole pool of people which you never were able to access before. If you look at industry, because of the speed of innovation, there's not one single industry that is not forced to retrain their staff. And that means that you have to use a lot of technologies, you know, which you find in EdTech, like the VR, augmented reality, to train the people. But you also need platforms to know who has been trained, have they done the program or not. So there's just an ocean of possibilities. And this is why today we are in EdTech.
Okay, so I'm very curious now to know specifically how your company fits into this and what is the offer that your company provides within this sector.
Yeah, so basically we're an accelerator, right? So the purpose of an accelerator is to find some really interesting companies. It could be in many different countries, but which have a track record of already having a successful product within the EdTech sector. And then we bring them through 12-week programs, whether it's online or offline or a combination of both, either in London, or now we're going to bring them physically in Malta, so they can really experience what it is to be on Malta and to see what kind of ecosystem is here, which is really beneficial for them and will help them to accelerate their growth. But also the objective, of course, is to have a certain number of these companies to either create a subsidiary on the island or to actually move physically to the island and then develop their company from Malta to access 500 million people in Europe and to expand their market in this way.
So what would be the main reasons why a founder of a startup would consider to come to Malta?
Yeah, well, there are actually many reasons why founders would like to come to Malta. First of all, it's a beautiful island, the people are super friendly, it's super rich in terms of history, so many reasons. But from a founder's perspective, there are also many reasons to come. I would mention maybe just 3 of them, but if you want to expand your team, because you're in an accelerating phase, then you will come to Malta because there's super qualified staff, despite the fact that there's quite a very low unemployment because the economy is thriving. But having said that, if you don't find the exact skill that you want, there's also a fast-track visa program, so it's quite easy to get the employees here. And the other advantage is that if you do qualify, you can have up to 75% of the salaries actually paid or financed by the government in one way or another. The second reason is that if you're a really high-tech company, then you've got access to a lot of skill and competences in the different universities here in Malta, whether it's AI, deep tech, and things like that. And again, the government is really promoting the island as a destination for startups and technology, and therefore you can also have some grants if you want to do some R&D with the different universities. And then the third one, which is also super interesting in the mind of a founder or startup, is that if you are actually already in the process of raising 1 to 2 million euros in extra capital, then the government can also help you with some extra, what we call soft loans, up to 500,000 euros, which is really interesting for a founder because it's a non-dilutive capital and it's also part of the mix of raising capital.
And this is done through Malta Enterprise, right?
So this is done through Malta Enterprise. They've got different schemes. One of them is a business development, the other one is Startup Finance 2020, and then they've also got another one which is called Kickstart, which is the one which we're going to use to bring the first 15 companies here on the island.
So we find ourselves in this open space here. What it's going to be used for?
Yeah, so basically this week we've launched the campaign to recruit the first 15 companies who are going to come on the island in September, October. We are going to present them on the main stage at the Startup in Malta Festival. And basically they're going to come here on the 12 weeks accelerating program. And this is going to be the office which we're currently building here, and we're going to have some co-working spaces. We're going to have some spaces here where we'll be able to do some events, like weekly events. We're going to have the mentors, the speakers, the investors who are going to come. So they're really going to be completely immersed in the Maltese business ecosystem. And this is going to be the base for Supercharger Ventures in Malta, and really putting a stage, for an internationally recognized EdTech hub here in Malta.
So you'll be hand-holding them through the journey, the initial journey of setting up and settling in Malta as well, right?
Exactly, and that's the ecosystem that we're building together with partners, whether it's public institutions, universities, schools, corporates, who also are very keen on understanding the future of work and how we're going to tackle the future of work and all the challenges which are coming with the future of work, and how EdTech is actually going to help them solve all of these challenges to make a really smooth transition, or as smooth as we can.
Okay, so you've mentioned university links with MCAST.
Yeah.
And I know that you've published a book.
Yes.
How does this fit into your project, for the future project?
Yes, so basically being in education is super important for us to have some very close ties with the ministers of education in different countries, with universities, with schools, and to really test the technology within the classrooms, within the universities. And on top of that, so what we've done is that we've published the world's first crowdsourced book on EdTech, which is basically a lot of chapters explaining the challenges of how to develop EdTech, how to implement EdTech, why it's important to have EdTech. And actually we even have a whole chapter in this book which was developed together with L-Intrapriża, seen from a government perspective, because the whole ecosystem needs to play together, and you need to have the right policies and the right financing to make sure that this transition is actually taking place. Because we also know, that the future for countries to succeed or not to succeed will also depend if they manage to harness this transition. And harnessing it means, a lot of changes the mentality. But it looks like, most people are really open to new technologies, and it's coming from the roots up, right? It's the kids, it's the students, it's everybody that actually wants the tech. So the transition is making its way, and we're looking forward to being part of that journey.
Yeah, so your ultimate mission is actually to create a footprint here, an ecosystem of EdTech companies.
Yes,
basically?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as I mentioned, the first 15 companies are coming here in the fall. But we have an aim of bringing 150 companies to the island over a period of 5 years. And having more than 1/3 staying on the islands, finding office space, hiring people here on the island.
And having a base.
And having a base here, yeah.
Okay, so you've been here very recently. What has been your impression so far?
Of Malta, it's been great, I've been used to working in other smaller countries like Denmark, Iceland, and countries like this. And the great advantage of being in a smaller country is that there's much less bureaucracy, you've got contacts super easy with the different stakeholders, so things actually move much faster than in a much bigger country where you have to go through a lot of processes and so there's a dynamic here which you can really feel like every day to people I talk to, people are curious, people want to change, people want to adopt technology. So it's definitely for me like a really nice place, and being here is away from the rainy England, so it's really nice to be here as well, even just because of the weather, but many other reasons.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much.
Wasalna fit-tmiem ta' dan il-programm, imma qabel nagħlqu nagħtu ħarsa bħas-soltu lejn il-kalendarju. Saħħa u slim.